So here we can see the general soil classification based on grain size. So here you can see so first one is the gravel part. This soil has been classified in four categories based on the grain size. The first one is gravel, second one is sand, third one is silt, and fourth one is clay. So here usually the gravel is classified based on the grain size, that is the soil particles which is more than 2 mm ISE are considered as the gravel. So the soil particles which is more than 2 mm are classified as gravel. And again the soil particles are passing through 2 mm ISE and retained in 0.06 mm ISE are classified as sand. And so again in sand, which is classified in three categories, that is coarse sand, medium sand, and then fine sand. So coarse sand, the particles passing from 2 mm ISE and retained in 0.06 mm ISE, so which is considered as coarse sand. And then the particle grain size which is more than 0.6 and less than 0.2 are considered as the medium sand. And similarly the fine sand, that is the particles more than 0.2 mm and less than 0.06 mm. So the next classification, that is silt. So again in silt also it is classified in three categories, that is coarse silt, medium silt, and then the fine silt. So they have given the grain size there 0.6 to 0.002 mm. It is considered as the silt content. So here coarse silt, that is the grain size which is more than 0.06, less than 0.06 and more than 0.02 mm. And similarly for medium silt it is 0.02 mm to 0.006. Similarly for fine silt it is 0.06 mm to 0.002. So the last fourth classification, that is clay. So here clay is like the grain size is more than 0.002 mm and it should be less than 0.02 mm and more than 0.002 mm are considered as the clay particles. So here again it is classified in three categories, that is coarse clay, medium clay, and at last the fine clay. So moving to the next part, that is HRB soil classification. So HRB means the Highway Research Board soil classification. So this is also called the American Association of State Highway Officials classification, that is ASHO classification of Revised Public Roads Administration, that is PRA soil classification system. So here the original soil classification, initially it was developed by Bureau of Public Roads, that is BPR, in the year of 1928. So after about 15 years of experience, certain revisions and modifications were made and the HRB classification system was developed. So by taking the reference of this ASHO as well as the PRA, this Bureau of Public Roads has developed this HRB road classification. So in fact, by these many modifications, it is now possible to have a subgroups of properly classifying different soil types, and the number of classification tests were decreased from 6 to 3. So now they are going to conduct only 3 tests instead of 6. So the enabling classification of these soils by 3 simple laboratory tests, that is, first one is C1 analysis of soil, liquid limit, as well as the plastic limit. So here these soils which are divided into 7 groups, that is A1 to A7, that is A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and then this A7. So again in this they have categorized first 3 classification of the soil, that is A1, A2 and A3, and the second category, that is A4, A5, A6 and A7, based upon this the percentage of passing materials. So first 3 types, the 3 classification systems, that is A1, A2, A3 soils, which are considered as the granular soils, and here the percentage fines passing from 0.074 mm sieve, which is being less than the 35%, whereas for A4, A5, A6 and A7 soils, which are considered as the fine grained or silt clay soils, which are passing 0.074 mm sieve, which is being greater than the 35%. So based on the percentage of the passing, greater and lesser, they have classified into 2 categories. So continuation of this HRB soil classification, so they are A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6 and A7. There are total 7 classifications have made based upon this highway research board. So here first one is A1 soils. So usually these A1 soils, which are well graded, which are mixture of the stone fragments, gravel, coarse sand, fine sand and non-plastic or slightly plastic soil binder. So the soils of these groups again, which are classified into 2 subgroups, that is A1A and A1B. So this A1A, which is predominantly of stone fragments of or gravels, and whereas A1B, which is consisting of predominantly coarse sand. And coming to the next one, that is the A2. So here A2 group of soils, which includes a wide range of these granular soils, which are ranging from A1 to A3 groups. So here consisting of these granular soils and up to the 35% of the fines of A4, A5, A6 and A7 groups. So based upon the size, they have classified these A2 groups, and based upon the fines content, the soils of these A2 groups, again they are subdivided into these different groups, that is, you can see in the green highlight on there, A24, A25, A26 and then this A27, A24, A25, A26 and A27. And coming to the third one, that is A3 group. So this A3 group soils consist mainly uniformly graded medium or fine sand, which are similar to the beach sand or desert blown sand. So these stream deposited mixtures of poorly graded fine sand with some coarse sand and gravel, which are also included in this A3 group. So coming to the next, that is A4 soils. So this A4 soils, which are generally silty soils and non-plastic or moderately plastic in nature, with a liquid limit and plasticity index values less than 40 and 10 respectively. So here liquid limit values, it should be less than 40, and plastic index values, it should be less than 10. So based upon the limits and index values, this A4 soils has been classified. And similarly this A5 soil. So here A5 soil are also called as the silty soils with the plasticity index less than 10, but with the liquid limit values exceeding 40%. Whereas in the A4 soil, this plasticity index which is less than 10, but here this plasticity index also it is less than 10 in the A5, but while comparison with the liquid limit, so here liquid limit is value which is exceeding in A5 compared to A4 soil. So these include highly plastic and compressible soil, usually of the determinants of micaceous character. So coming to the next type, that is A6. So here A6 group of soils which are plastic clays having high values of plasticity index which is exceeding 10% and low values of the liquid limit which is below the 40%, and they have high volume change properties with variations in moisture content. So the last HRB soil classification, that is A7 soil classification. So in this A7 soil classification, the soils are also clayly soils as A6 soils, but with the high values of both liquid limit and plastic index, that is the plasticity index. So liquid limit that is greater than 40% and plasticity index which is greater than the 10%. So these soils which have low permeability and high volume change properties with changes in moisture content. So these are the 7 different groups, that is A1 to A7, having the different parameters with respect to the index value as well as the grain sizes. Thank you.